The Buffalo Bills versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is everything you need to know and pay attention for the game. So, just to give you an update on the injuries, Larry Ogunjobi, Trey Norwood, and Nate Herbig. Those are the three guys that Mike Tomlin has already ruled out of the game. For Larry Ogunjobi, he suffered a right foot injury and has been spotted in a walk-in boot the last several days of practice. And Trey Norwood, he is dealing with a right leg injury, but as Tomlin noted, has been seeing some action at practice, but he still ruled him out. Yesterday, he practiced during individual sessions, though it sounds like he won't get enough time to play this weekend. He's fighting for one of the final spots, so this is a bummer, but Mike Tomlin did rule him out. Nate Herbig, he suffered a right shoulder injury and hasn't practiced the last 2 days and appears minor, but he's also being held out for this weekend. Those three players have already been ruled out, but there's some other people that are really questionable. For example, Keanu Benton, he suffered an ankle injury in last preseason game, and he's been limited in practice basically all week. So it's very unlikely, I believe, that he's going to play, but he has a chance because he has not been ruled out yet. Another person who got injured in last preseason game was Nick Kwiatkowski. He got injured with a shoulder injury, and he's been limited as well basically all throughout practice this week. He's even had his shoulder taped up while he was practicing underneath his uniform, so it's very questionable as well if he's going to play. Now, just to give you an update on the starters and who will be playing out of the main guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, because I know most of you want to see those guys back in the Steelers uniform for this season, and you're sick of seeing all the practice stuff and want to see them in actual games. Well, I can confirm that Mike Tomlin confirmed several veterans and a handful of players who missed last week with injuries and just due to rest will play. For example, this is a quote that he said, "I'm excited about seeing some guys play this year for the first time. Guys that we held out last week, guys like Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Patrick Peterson, Joey Porter Jr., Keanu Neal, DeMonte KZ are some guys who didn't play last week who are scheduled to play." So that's very exciting news because if you remember last week, only the Pittsburgh Steelers starters on offense played and they played only one drive. And the defense, it was really their backups playing the whole game. So now seeing the starters going against the Bills starters is going to be really exciting because they're going against a high-level offense. And Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, said that the starters for the Buffalo Bills will play too. So here's a quick update from the Bills team. Head coach Sean McDermott said on Thursday that Allen and multiple other starters, basically the rest of the team starters, will be in the lineup against the Steelers in Pittsburgh on Saturday evening. McDermott said that the first teamers will play about a quarter and a half before giving away to the rest of the team's reserves. So usually in a preseason game, the starters don't play that much. So for Sean McDermott to say that the starters are planning on playing a quarter and a half, that's a lot of football for the preseason, and we don't usually see that. It was not said yet how much the Pittsburgh Steelers plan to play their starters, if they're going to match the Bills and play them the same amount, or it's probably going to be less. Because I don't see Mike Tomlin playing those guys a quarter and a half, especially the TJ Watt of the world, the Minkah Fitzpatrick, Cameron Hayward, who've all been in this league for a while. So I see some players maybe playing a quarter and a half of the starters, but most of them, I don't see them playing even a quarter. But it's to be determined, and this is a good matchup for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get ready for the regular season. They're going against one of the best teams in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills, and they're actually going to play their starters. That's a good sign. That's to see what level the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, who've been really good and really solid throughout training camp against each other, their defense and their offense, to see them actually matched up against another NFL team going against the number ones on the team. Because yes, they could do good against the number twos, and we've seen Kenny Pickett go 6 or 7, they're 80 yards a touchdown, and do really good on the first drive of the game against the backups against the Buccaneers. But now to see that against the number ones against the Bills, it's to see how ready he is. And I know it's still preseason. They might not all be going 100%, but it's still against the number ones and the best players in the world on the Buffalo Bills. So the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Buffalo Bills, this should be a high-level matchup for at least a quarter of football. Now, with all that being said, let me give you some things to keep your eye on for the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to start off with the Steelers offense because that's the main thing in question. So, how can Matt Canada call plays against another team's number one, and has it improved since last season? We're going to see that versus the Buffalo Bills. Yes, it might be easy to call plays against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are playing their second and third players on the team, but now going against the number ones for a quarter, can Matt Canada call play calls, and can the Pittsburgh Steelers score early? That's going to be a thing to watch. And also, that continues on to the next topic, Kenny Pickett. I know he used the middle of the field and he used deep parts of the field in his first drive against the Buccaneers, but will he continue to do that, or will he make these short plays? And the one thing I saw from Kenny Pickett that I didn't like from that one drive was he was staring down his man too much. Yes, it worked because he went 6 for 7, a touchdown on his first drive of the game, but I just don't want to see him staring down one wide receiver because then that makes it easier for the defense to stop you. But it seems like he was just staring down Deontay Johnson. He was staring down Pat Freiermuth that one play, and then he was staring down George Pickens on his touchdown. Can he make multiple reads and move off of his first read if it's not there, or will he be able to just force it in? So that's going to be a thing to watch. And also, one more thing to watch. Running back Najee Harris on that first drive had a hard time getting going. It seems like he was only getting 2 rushing yards negative whenever he ran the ball. Jalen Warren, on the other hand, it seemed like he was more explosive. Anthony McFarland Jr. seemed like he was more explosive. So can Najee Harris find that gear and see the explosive run that he wasn't really having last season? Or will it still be when those short yard gains on basically every drive? That's going to be something to watch. Now moving on to the wide receivers. In last week's game, we saw Deontay Johnson basically number one wide receiver. He had like a 50% catch rate split share with George Pickens, meaning like he got targeted 50% of the throws compared to George Pickens. So is he the number one wide receiver? I guess we'll find out. Is George Pickens the number 2? And also, can Calvin Austin repeat what he basically did last week and put up those big yards and continue on with a long pass catch and do it against the number 1s in the Buffalo Bills? That's going to have to be seen as we get into the matchup. And for the defense, moving on to what we need to see from the defense, can the cornerbacks actually play well? Because now we see Patrick Peterson back, we see Joey Porter Jr. in the lineup for the first time, and Levi Wallace, all 3 of them. So will the defensive backs play good? Last year, the struggle on the Steelers have always been their defensive backs. Yes, I understand they led the league in interceptions, but in terms of getting people open, allowing yardage, it seems like they always struggle in that area. We know they have a good linebacker kind of defensive line group, so can the defensive backs hold their own? That's going to be seen against the Buffalo Bills, going against Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and going against one of the top tier wide receivers in the league as well in Stephon Diggs. It's going to be a hard matchup early for a good first quarter, so let's see how the Steelers defense handles it all. And moving on to one more thing, special teams, because Mike Tomlin actually reported this as well. If you remember when the depth chart first came out, the punt returner and kicker returner was listed as the number 1 person was Calvin Austin. But just recently, a few days ago, Mike Tomlin said for this game, the number 1 option at kick returner and someone who will actually get reps there, the number 1 guy, will be Anthony McFarland Jr. They're going to test out to see how he does at kick returner. And punt returner for this game, it will be Calvin Austin. It was Bird last week for both punt returns and kick returns, but he basically did nothing in a special teams game, and now Anthony McFarland Jr. has been named the kick returner for this game against the Bills, and for punt returner, it's been listed as Calvin Austin. So let's see Calvin Austin first chance to actually return some punts. Let's see the explosiveness that he has, and also let's see the explosiveness that Anthony McFarland Jr. has. We seen him break off a big yard run for a touchdown in last week's game at running back. Let's see if he could transfer that to special teams and kick returner. But that's basically it for the Pittsburgh Steelers and what they're kind of have to look forward to as something to pay attention for, and all the injury updates for their team going against the Buffalo Bills. The game is being played on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So let me know down in the comments below, how do you feel about all this? How do you feel about everything I listed, the stuff to look forward to? How do you feel about the injuries and basically Buffalo playing their players and their starters for a quarter and a half? The Steelers playing basically all their starters as well, everyone who's healthy. Let me know your thoughts on this. Would you play your starters? Would you kind of kept them lower and not play them as much? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like serious content and analysis reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for the channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post next year's video. Click that bell down below so you never miss out whenever I post a video and get updated right away with a notification. Click the bell down below. I cover everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, rumors, reports, and highlights. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.